Peace.
Peace.
This is Joshua Miller Law, Mr. PhD. You're just now entering the cipher called Real2reel360. K-Wise.
Peace, God.
Bring that beat in, kid.
Indeed.
Peace.
Yeah. What's going on, party people? Welcome to the Real2reel360 show. Let's get it in.
We do the knowledge and wisdom so you can understand. Real360 shows in full command. We changing the game for how it all was taught. From bondage to freedom to an independent thought. Yo, the show is here to bring about a change for real. To lighten everyone so we all know the deal. 360 degrees is a fact. We created the show to give our love back to our communities so we can know what's going on and give them the support from knowledge to born. So if you're ready to learn, then it's time to go. Sit back and relax and enjoy your show. Peace.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the four corners of the planet Earth. Peace and blessings to all the 5% nation of gods and earths and to all the human families of the planet Earth. I be DJ KY, Allah, a.k.a. Kato, the black superhero, wishing you the best and welcome you to another and dynamic episode for the Real2reel360 show. But without further ado, I got to bring on my brother in God. Y'all know who he is. Man, my right-hand man, my brother than no other. Let's bring on Joshua Miller, a.k.a. Mr. PhD himself. Peace, Almighty.
Peace, peace, peace to Allah's 5%. Peace to those individuals who are traveling out to Allah's Be Homegoing ceremony today at the Unity Funeral Home in Now. Also, too, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you like, subscribe, to the show so you don't miss not one episode of Real2reel360. Yet today we have a phenomenal lady that's coming on, and she's going to add on to our mental health section of Real2reel360 and how we deal and cope and maintain ourselves through certain activities as sexual abuse, physical altercation, domestic violence, and those trying to get help and resources for those things. So today I want to introduce Miss Lynn Meyers to come on to the show.
Awesome. Hello.
There she is.
Peace. How you?
Hey, cool.
I'm doing well. How's it going?
Everything is great. First and foremost, we got to say that you're a mom first, right? Mm-hmm. And you have two beautiful young ladies who are entrepreneurs and owner and operators of H&L Pickles. Yes. We have to say that off the top. You know what I'm saying? We have to shout them two young ladies out at all times.
All the celebrities, since you mentioned H&L Pickles. Yes, thank you for that. Thank you for shouting them out.
Always gonna support the babies. We're gonna support the babies. But at this moment in time, we want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself outside of H&L Pickles, because when you was on before, you was on with your daughters, and a lot of our viewers don't realize that you're a counselor. So we wanted to, bring you back and introduce you and what you do in your profession.
Okay, awesome. So I am Lynn Meyers. I did not put that on here. I am the HRT coach, which stands for Healing, Restoration, and Transformation. I am a licensed professional counselor. I've been in the field now 21 years in mental health as a counselor. I absolutely love the transformation, the transition that I can help people go through. Right now, the main focus for me, though, is women of color that have dealt with sexual abuse and domestic violence. So I'm helping them get to a place where they can overcome trauma, start feeling safe and sexy in their bodies and in their emotions, because those are the things that we miss. We don't feel safe in our bodies. We definitely don't feel safe in our emotions. But and like you said, I'm a mom. We have 5 children, and life is busy, and it's exciting. So.
All right. So what made you want to specialize in the healing and restoration part? A lot of times we all enter a field and we specialize in something, and there's a reason behind it. So if you want to, you know what I mean, it wouldn't mind if you could speak toward that.
Well, I definitely do. So I actually specialize in sexual abuse and domestic violence. What I teach and what I show is that healing and restoration and transformation are possible. I did not know that until it was my story and I started my healing journey. I was sexually abused by my biological father, and my mom was a participant because she was the one that got my body ready for my father to abuse me. And going through that, I was just like, I'm never going to be healed. You know, am I never going to be able to heal from this? So I decided to change that, change the narrative, stop feeling like a victim, do something about it. And I became a warrior because I call myself a warrior. So then I said, well, how can I teach the women this very same thing? So I decided to go into, because I'm also a certified trauma professional counselor. So I decided to help in that area. So it's more of a personal, but yet a professional side as well. So I can speak to both and it makes me very relatable. So that's the reason why I decided to do that.
Now, is it a lot of times that women have been abused as children more so than they have been sexually assaulted as adults, that you have to deal with the trauma, or it doesn't matter?
No, so the statistics are more like 1 in 4 women, and then the children is like 1 in 7, and it happens like every 12 seconds. Like it's so fast, it's so rapid, and I find it happening with both like male and female children, and it's happening a lot with men too. Men are just not reporting it. I have some clients that come to me that only feel comfortable talking to me, but they're not reporting physical abuse and they're not reporting sexual abuse because of shame or embarrassment. So it's out there. Now, a lot of the reports are women and children, but the men, it's happening to them too.
Now, is it more someone who's related or someone who is close to the family who is victimizing these people?
Usually it is. Yeah. Usually it is a person that's very close, because that's the end. If the parents, or if the person is taking care of the parents, the guardian, that's the word I'm looking for, if they feel comfortable with the neighbor or with the uncle or with whomever, older cousin, same peer, because that happens as well. So yeah, it's usually the person that you know. Most time, a sexual assault or a sexual trauma is going to be somebody that you know. Now, there are cases of rape where it's somebody you don't know, but it's usually the person close to home, somebody that can easily have that access to you.
Would you call that a disease on the victimizer's part?
Well, what do you mean? A disease as far as what?
Well, like, it's an emotion. To me, it's like an abuse or power struggle sometimes within the person, and sometimes that could be a disease triggered by something within their life as a trauma.
Oh, yeah, I see where you're going with it now. It definitely triggers a lot of things. It definitely so something traumatic like this can trigger other things that may have been dormant in your body, or something that was going to come out later, and then this event can bring it out. Yeah, it can definitely happen like that too, for sure.
Now, also too, is the person that is victimizing the individual, are majority of them victims of, sexual assault and stuff like that, or is just where they just feel like they want to have power over someone?
It's both, but I would say statistically it has been because the person has been perpetrated on themselves. For me, that wasn't my case. I did not want to offend or perpetrate on anyone or any of that. I became very promiscuous. So it can go either way. Like either like you can perpetrate on someone else, or you become promiscuous, or you just don't have any type of thoughts or any desires for sex at all. It's just very different. But a lot of times people do say it's because this happened to them as a child.
Now,
So,
how much of after a person have been victimized that they're not comfortable in their own skin, or they don't find beauty in themselves?
That's all the time. So this is the thing. Everybody is different, as we know. Everybody's going to be different. But a lot of times, the person that it happens to, we feel that these are just words that I've used and words that my clients have used with me. Damaged, abandoned, discarded, ugly, nasty, abused, worthless. Also, all these things, we start thinking about ourselves because a lot of us think it's our fault. I never thought it was my fault. I understood it wasn't my fault. But a lot of us think it's our fault. And so it's like, well, what did I do? What is, I'm a bad person. I'm this. And so all those negative words or statements or things that are placed on us by other people, and then definitely with ourselves, because then we start believing it. And then it's just like, and it's hard to get out of that. If it's been many years of negativity, it's really hard to get out of that.
Would you say that someone who has been victimized in the situation will be healed, or it's forever going to be a scar mentally, and it could be physically, but dealing with the emotional set or the mindset. So it's hard to say that a person will say that they're totally 100% cure from the situation, because you can always think about it. It's like an automatic PTSD moment.
Right.
For a lot of people. So
that's true. That's true.
Do you make sure that that's one of the things that you cover on the basis of people when that comes around when you have your discussions?
Yeah, so definitely what has happened is more of so let me say this. I made a post the other day, and on the post I said, what I found out for myself is that emotional pain has been the hardest thing for me. It has been even more so hard than a broken bone. Like, the pain of emotion can never compare to the broken bone, or vice versa, because that's where I found the pain. And so for me in the beginning, I did not think I was going to ever be able to heal it. And I carried that. I was like, this is going to be a scar. This is going to be this, like when you have a broken bone, there's usually some type of scar or something that you say, oh yeah, I see where you broke your ankle, where you broke your bone. But in your heart, there can be a scar left. For me, this is my opinion, if you don't allow yourself to heal. Now, will it always be a memory? Yes. Will there always be like an event that you may not ever forget? Possibly. But I think if you do allow yourself to talk through it, find ways to heal, whatever you need to do, that it doesn't have to be such a large scar or a noticeable scar. But I think as far as like scarring, then yeah, you will have a memory, and there will be things that you won't be able to forget.
Now, how has it been transitioning into like a relationship, like having a boyfriend, having a husband, knowing that you had these, or knowing that individuals have been sexually assaulted? Are there certain things inside relationships that are triggers for you or for victims that make them flash back to certain things, even even though you spoke to your spouse about it or whatever? But is there certain things in relationships that cause you to fall back, or is a trigger for you? Doing
Yeah, and I would say that these are really good questions, because myself included, it was very hard for me to trust anyone. I mean, and that was before it became romantic. Even when I was a child, it was hard for me to trust. And then when I decided to be in romantic relationships, it definitely was hard for me to trust, because I thought within myself, I'm not going to be able to trust a man, because the first man I was supposed to trust is my father, and look what he did to me. So it was more of me not being able to experience love, because I didn't know what that was. Like, what is that? Or trust or loyalty or respect or any of that. I did not learn that. And so going into relationships, it was just like, I guess we're just going to see what this is going to be. Never would last. None of my relationships last. It was always like a sexual thing, never really last. But when I talked to my clients about relationships, they said the same thing. It was very hard for intimacy. Because there were always triggers or something, or trauma coming up, like when they thought they were in a really good relationship, then the guy or the girl would do something and that would traumatize them or re-injure them or trigger them, and they were like, I just can't do this, so it's really hard to trust that person. That's why I say when I work with women, I help them get to the place where they feel safe in their bodies and in their emotions, because what has happened is that we lost our sense of security, especially with our bodies and definitely with our emotions, because like, who are we going to trust? Who can we talk to? And so yeah, it shows up a lot when you try to get into relationships. It shows up a lot also in your any type of your relationships, any areas. Like, I did not trust people at work. Like, I didn't trust my supervisors, my coworkers. I didn't trust my friends. I didn't trust my siblings. Like, I didn't, because I was like, no one saw this. Like, y'all couldn't help me. You couldn't support me. You couldn't protect me. So it shows up differently in people, but it's usually like the lack of trust is one of those things, and getting close to people. Like, it's hard to do that, especially in the beginning.
Now, when individuals lose trust in a man or a male figure, does that sometimes open the door to homosexual behaviors or experiences because they're looking for trust in someone?
So this is probably when people are going to be upset with me. And it's okay, because I'm only speaking to my experience. So when that happened to me, first of all, I was very young. I was like a toddler, and my dad stopped abusing me when I was in 3rd grade. So he abused me for 7 years. So I did not trust men. I barely trust women, because my mom was, like I said, was part of it. But I was one of those women that got involved with other women. I did. I was, like I said, I was very promiscuous. So I really slept with anybody. I really did. And I'm not ashamed to say that, because people need to understand that. So in my experience, I felt like the trauma that happened to me and what happened to me with all of that going on, it made me think, okay, since I can't trust men, then maybe I should go over here and be with women. That's exactly where my mind was going. Now, other people will debate me on that and say that's not true. And it's fine. It may not be true for you, but it was true for me.
Okay. Because now how much because like you said before, a lot of times men don't admit to being sexually assaulted. And when it comes down to men being sexually assaulted, it can be a father figure or a mother figure or a sister or someone who assaults them. How much of that is your clientele as well?
Well, I only have a few men on my caseload. So it's only just a few. I feel like if men were allowed to express themselves, to be vulnerable, to be transparent, I probably would have more men. But of course, society doesn't teach men to express themselves, show emotion without being judged or, being, that's crazy stuff. But I feel like if we would normalize emotional healing, I just did a podcast on this too. If we would normalize emotional healing, I probably would have more clients. So it happens to them, but like I said, they just don't report it because of shame.
Feel like that's an ego thing or something of that nature?
It could be an ego thing. It could be, but I think it's just because they don't feel like they're going to be supported when they report. I think they feel like it would be more of, oh man, that's weak. Oh man, you a punk. Man up, man up. You should have been able to deal with that, because this is the stuff they say to me. This is not something I'm just saying. So I just don't think they don't feel supported. They really don't. And that's why they keep a lot of things to themselves.
That's interesting. Now, with the age demographic with the males, is that also similar to the females as toddlers up until teenage years?
It is. So I would say that the males get more during childhood. It gets less and less during the teenage years, but definitely in childhood. And another statistic that I found more recently that's very interesting, there are a lot of trans women and trans men that are really not reporting because of the fear of backlash or things like that. And they are of a particular age as well. And that's very interesting because a lot of them just don't say anything either. But we find that those statistics are more of like young teenage up to early adulthood.
So, do you believe that a young man that's been sexually assaulted as a youth or adolescent is more susceptible to become or to walk into the homosexual life?
If I would base it on my own experience, I would say yes. Um, just because that's what happened to me. Now I don't want the viewers to think, oh, everything is right because it happens to you. No, but it is a personal experience, and I do have a lot of professional experience with this. So would I say that for all men? No. I really feel like as children, when we're violated as children, we're looking for love, or we're looking for support. So we're going to gravitate to whomever is going to give it to us. Now it may be the same sex, it may be opposite sex, but a lot of times it's because we did not receive what we needed to receive at that childhood age. So now we're off to do something different.
Let me ask you this. Have you worked with, or do you do certain cases with law enforcement? Have you ever worked in that field?
I have worked with law enforcement. I don't work with law enforcement now, but I have worked with law enforcement.
Okay. And did you find that some of those cases be a little bit difficult, or was it just, routine enough for you to be like, okay?
No, I think those are more difficult because now the person that reported being the victim, they now have brought everybody into the situation. So say like if it was a father, because this was a case before. So now the child reported on the father. So now mom is mad at the child because she reported on the father. And now the household is in like disarray or has been disrupted because now dad has now been arrested. And so talk is at the job and possibly you're going to lose his job. And now the church people know. And so like now when law enforcement comes in, everybody knows. So now it's not hush hush anymore. And now it's not like you got to keep a secret. Now there's no secret to be kept because now CPS is involved, law enforcement is involved. A lot of times, it goes back to the your employer. Like it can be extremely difficult. That's the word I'll use.
Okay.
Now, when you made a statement of looking for love for individuals or support for individuals, do that open the door for domestic violence? And they become a victim of domestic violence as well as being sexually assaulted as a youth? Or
it definitely has happened. It definitely has happened because now the person is looking at, okay, in those cases that I have seen, so now the person is looking for the love or support in someone else. And so now that person that has taken them in understands that. And so now it's like, you're my property. And now you do what I say. And so it can now turn into something that has gone from, they say out the frying pan into the fire. So now I've left the situation, because I needed to leave over here, but now I'm over here and you are misusing, abusing authority or what I'm looking for. And now it has turned to a physical thing or a thing where they have now been isolated. And it's a lot of times they can turn into like, not sex trafficking, but I guess it could be sex trafficking. But now the person has turned into like a pimp and the prostitute. Because I've seen that too when I used to work with law enforcement.
Wow.
And I know all these can be like really harsh. Not every situation is this harsh, but it happens. And I think people need to understand that it is happening, and that's the problem. We're not talking about it. Nobody wants to talk about sexual abuse. Nobody wants to talk about domestic violence. Like I grew up in the home of domestic violence. My dad used to beat my mom almost every day. And he tried to take her life on several occasions. But we had the perfect home. And there were other adults that knew that, but nobody wanted to do anything about it. So now, these topics definitely need to be discussed.
What are the resources because when the female or the male is being sexually assaulted, they need resources to help them heal and restore themselves and transition? Or do they have to do a restorative justice situation where they have to address the victimizer? Or what is the process to healing so you can move forward from being sexually assaulted or being domestically abused? Because domestic violence is not, I mean, domestic abuse is just not violence. It's emotional, mental, and
It's
verbal.
all of that.
It's all of
It's
that.
all of that.
So what are some of the resources that they can have where they can help heal themselves? How can they heal themselves?
Well, I want to answer this in two parts. So there's resources. There's a lot. There's one called RAINN, RAINN. RAINN is a good one. There's one here in Texas that's TAASA, and that's like Texas Association of Sexual Assault. But the best thing is to look it up within your state, and then they'll have something for your state as well. But RAINN is national. That's all over. That's one that I always give people because they can help you anywhere. They have crisis lines, they have support groups, they have all of that. But the other part I want to answer to that is, how do people heal? How do they get to the level of healing? Do you have to confront the perpetrator? Or when I work with people, we don't talk about that. We don't have to go back and talk about what happened because I feel like that's harm. I never want to be harmful. We don't have to discuss. It started at 3 years old and went to. And I don't need to know that. All I need to know is that it happened to you. We don't ever have to bring up where you were, what it smelled like, what it tastes like. Never. I want to get you to the place where do you want to go? Because I asked them, what does your healing journey look like? Some say, I don't know. But a lot of them can say, well, I want to be a good mom. I want to stop fussing at my children. Or I want to be intimate with my husband. So then now we have some areas we can grow in. So every person's journey is going to look different. But therapy, of course, I'm an advocate of therapy because I am a therapist, but definitely you have to find out what your healing journey is going to look like. Because like even with mine, it's traditional to go to therapy and get medicine. I didn't take medicine. I did not take medicine. That was not my journey. For me, mine was therapy, yoga, and Reiki. And that's what helped me. So it can look any way. It can definitely look any way.
Okay,
That's for sure.
I know that a lot of people suffer from that, and it can be transitioned to their children. Like, how do you ensure that you protect your children from feeling your pain of being, assaulted?
So my children do know, but I explained to them in the way of, now I was not graphic, I wasn't explicit, but they understand that things happened to mommy that she did not want to happen, and it was very inappropriate. And I also told them who did it. So if there's anything that comes out where there's like frustrations, irritation, something that is not usually our normal way of interacting, then my children tell me.
Can I add a special?
And I allow them to.
I would like to add something special to that because I really want to add this on and ask this because I think it's very important for our viewers as well, for myself, the information. How does that situation with you, let's per se, because there's a lot of people out there that's happened to the same way. How do you heal within your own family who did the damage? How did you forgive your parents and still have a relationship with them, or do you shun them from your children? Are you protecting your children from that? So to get a better understanding of this, because that's a hard thing to think about after so long, because I would think for me, if I was in that situation, that manner, I don't know if I could be like, this is your grandfather and you can have a relationship, when you should have a relationship with your grandparents. But because of what happened to me, my mental state and my state would be to keep them away from them, period, because of that nature. So how do you balance that as far as healing within the family?
I'm telling you, y'all better come with the questions. So yeah, in the beginning, it was difficult. because my siblings did not know. There was only one sibling that knew. This because she also at times when my mom wouldn't prepare my body, then she would. So she's 12 years older than me. And so she was like, this is not right. This is not right. So she's the only sibling that knew. And my other siblings did not know until I wrote the book. And I asked them permission if it was okay, because I was going to write about the whole family. Now, how was I able to heal within the family? It was a lot of forgiveness. Like, my heart was so hard. It was like steel, where nothing could penetrate it. Not like it was like it was awful. And so I said, do you want to continue to live like this and have a life and like have a great family, whatever, or do you want to heal? So how I was able to do that is when I forgave my father. I forgave my father first because I felt like he was the main one. And then my mom, one day, she and I had a conversation and she was like, I'm just so sorry. And then I forgave her. So they have a relationship with my mom. They do not have a relationship with my father because my father passed away 2 years ago. And prior to that, he was very sick and in a nursing home. So he was like, mm-mm. So yeah, they never really got a chance to know who he was. I mean, I talk about him, they understand who he is, but they didn't get a chance. But they love my mom, so.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that. That's there's two things I want to ask on this here because I don't know if you want to answer this because I'm kind of confused on how do you prepare a child to be sexually assaulted? That's confusing. Like, how do you prepare a child, a baby, for a grown man? Like, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, ask you to go back, you know what I'm saying, step by step.
No, you're not offending. So this is the thing. Ask me whatever you want to ask. I am not offended. I am I'm very confident in my story and how I tell it. I don't like whatever you want to know. That's why I tell people when they interview me, you ask whatever, because I'm going to answer everything you ask me. So what I'm talking about that is my mom literally she either washed my body or bathed my body and then gave me to my father, or my father had already molested me, and when he was done with me, he gave me back to her to wash me up or to clean me. And that's why I say prepare my body.
Okay. Now, as a grown man, I don't see, like, I understand like there's certain things that has to happen for this to transpire, because there's no way that a grown man should be able to actually insert himself inside of a little girl. So the preparation, how long was the preparation for that part going on before individuals was able to assault? Because because even as like men, we know that when you're dealing with, like, say, like a female, you're dating a female that's a virgin, and it takes a period of time before you're able to actually insert yourself inside.
Correct.
So the grown man, and you're dealing with a child.
Yeah. So this is the thing. I'm gonna ease your nerve just a little bit.
Okay.
That's one thing that did not happen. He did not penetrate me. It was more of fondling, being very inappropriate, doing things to my body, but there was never penetration.
Okay. Because also too, I wanted we've done a show prior, like a week or so, maybe 2 weeks ago, about, we spoke on like the R. Kelly situation with him dating little girls, and we talked about pedophilia, right? Is this well, I know it's a form of pedophilia, and how were they able to reconcile more so with themselves and be able to really how was he able to look you in your face as a child? Because as a father, we're supposed to protect our daughters. Like, regardless of whom or what, we're supposed to be able to give them the stability. No harm should come to our child. So to say like I'm going to be the one to physically or sexually assault or take that away from my child is something that I can't phantom. You
Yeah.
know,
Most fathers can't. Like my husband, when I told him, he was like, "What?" Like he had no words. And most parents are like that, because we protect our children. Like, yeah, I would probably kill somebody. Um,
and that was my next question
and
because
so,
you have two beautiful daughters. You have
yeah,
two beautiful daughters, very intelligent, very motivated, and I
yeah,
know you going through that experience, you are protective of them.
yeah, I'm extremely protective of them. So, but how my father interacted with me, when we were alone and when we were in the eyes of other people, as if nothing ever happened. Um, as if nothing ever happened. And I think he started doing that. Well, I noticed he was doing that as I was a toddler and as when I went into kindergarten and all that. But after that, he really started doing that, like interacting with me after he stopped. So now picture me in third grade. So I'm 8 years old. And now he has stopped because now I'm vocal.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm saying, leave me alone. Don't touch me. Don't, so now he's like, ooh, okay, let me leave her alone because it may come out. So he just acted like a regular dad in front of other people and tried to do it like when we were alone. Like he never touched me. And I was very disrespectful to him for that. So that's how he was.
Now,
My
when you started dating, what
Mhm.
was his interaction? You know what I'm saying, with the individuals that you started dating, or your
No,
boyfriend?
no, sir. No, sir. He did not have no, sir. He did not meet anybody I was dating. For what? I did not allow that. That right was revoked a long time ago. You don't get to meet who I'm dating. My brothers did. My brothers were very protective of me. And I have a brother that's 4 years older than me. And he was just like, who is he? I need to know. And so, yeah, so that's who met, my dates and stuff. My dad, no, he didn't even, I did not allow him to do that.
you know, I have to really say this because this is how I feel personally, and
Mm-hmm.
take it for what it is. If all truth was made known and people were guilty of doing these things, whether it was a man to a child, woman to a child,
Mm-hmm.
me, I would be that person that could stand in court or in wherever necessary and chop off what belongs there and scoop out what belongs in the woman. And I would have no problem with it because
Yeah.
you did something so traumatic and
Yeah.
volatile to a child or just
Yes.
to a person individually,
Yeah.
irregardless,
Yeah.
because it can happen. It doesn't matter the age, really. I think it's more
It doesn't.
detrimental to me when it comes to a child because the child is so innocent that has no knowledge of what's coming their way yet.
Right,
Correct.
right.
And when you take away their right, their given right and innocence from a day one purpose, you have there's nothing you can say to me to say, I apologize. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I didn't mean it. Yes, you did. And there's no
Yeah.
turning back for me because I'm
Yeah.
speaking that from myself.
I
So
understand.
I would be right there in the court. Your Honor, I got him.
I understand. I know. Yeah. Hey,
No
I
remorse.
get it. I
Now,
get it.
with grown women molesting
Mm-hmm.
young boys,
Yeah.
right? Um, what is the trigger for that? Like, is it that they're lonely, or they're the situation? Because, like you said, a lot of times you don't hear about young boys being molested, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't hear about women molesting the young boys,
Oh, but
or
they do.
that they do. And
Mm-hmm.
being the fact that these older women are molesting these young guys, young boys, and taking their innocence just like
Mm-hmm.
older men are taking young ladies' innocence. Um, what? Because they don't even have a name for that, because they don't even consider that pedophilia.
It's disgusting. I don't care who does it.
Right.
It's absolutely disgusting. And so to answer your question, I feel like both. I think the men that do it, the women that do it, they're just looking at, they're being extremely selfish. They're not thinking about the consequences. They're not thinking about like what's going to happen to these children. And I feel like it's a control thing. It's like, oh, okay, I can touch you because I'm older. They may be like, because this one of my clients told me, he says, I was groomed by this woman, and she was a friend of my mom's. And so of course that's where the trust came in. But she was a friend of my mom's, and so she would groom me. Like she would teach me art, and so I was around her and this and that. And so it's very manipulative. And so then when she would start saying, oh, and touch this and do this, and he said, I would look at her like, what? You're my mom's friend, and I'm just thinking, but it was more of like the woman had him saying, oh, this gets you into your manhood, and like tricking him. So yeah, it's just very selfish and it's very manipulative. But I really think for both, it's just the control thing. I can control this situation because I'm older. And you're gonna listen to me because what do we tell our parents? I mean, what do the parents tell our children? You listen to the adults. So it's hard for them.
So again, I take that back to go to the R. Kelly situation, because it's been brought out that he was abused as a child by his own relative for a long time, and she was a woman. Right. So do we take that in consideration for what stuff that he's allegedly have done or and been found somewhat guilty of or whatever to fit the situation? So that's why, see, I try to always figure out what presets the now, and is there any do sometimes people say you have to give them leniency on this because of this or so forth. I mean, and people do use this in a court of law.
They do.
Most especially the defendant attorneys in the case of a situation.
They would.
This person was abused as a child, which caused them to do this, and that.
Correct.
So
they would definitely do that.
Where's the help for that person at that time? Do we look at it as too late because you already did what you did? How do you, as a therapist and counselor, divide yourself and to look at that on both sides of the spectrum, so that way when you do make it, everybody can be like, okay, that does make sense, because we always got to look at the situation from the victim and the victimized situation. Most of the time we're leaning on the person who's been victimized, but we're not looking at the victimizer situation.
Correct. There was a lot of things that came out about my dad later on that I didn't know anything about. Like his mom left him and my uncle when they were younger, like left him and told them, I can't take you with me because my new husband doesn't want you. And so he left. And I was like, oh, so that's why he didn't value women. Okay, that kind of makes sense. And so then there was other things. I was like, and so that's why he didn't know how to love. And that's why he was so abusive. So it made sense to me and I understood, but I still said it did not give him the right to do what he did just because his life was the way it was, or his interaction with his family was the way it was. And it wasn't a good one. It really wasn't. But it still does not give you right to destroy or take away the innocence of your children. So when you go back and you talk about this R. Kelly situation, you're like, yeah, I mean, I kind of thought that too when he was marrying Aaliyah and doing all this. I was like, I think something probably happened to him, because you don't just do these kind of things and think it's okay. Like what, he was 27 and she was 15 or whatever the age, I don't know. But you can't do those type of things and think that that's okay. So yeah, so I'm pretty sure the lawyer would use that. But as the counselor coach, I can look at that situation and I can see and I can look at behaviors and all that and say, okay, now it makes sense why this happened. However, the decision was still made.
Right.
And I feel like that's why I did not perpetrate, because I knew how I felt. I thought about like, would I want to do this to somebody else? No, I would not. And so that's how I would answer that.
Now, do you consider an individual who is an adult I would say 21, 22 years old, dating someone who was in high school, taking away their innocence and being a sexually assaultive to them.
So if they're 21 and they're how old, you say? In
21,
high
22, and like when we was in school, you always see like the cats that was 20, 21, pulling up to the high school, getting these little 15, 16, 17-year-old
school?
girls.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that was inappropriate
Mm-hmm.
because you're a grown man and you should be dealing with grown women.
I agree.
And at that point in time, to me, you were taking away the innocence of a female. And on top of that, it forced them to be older than what they were, and they wasn't allowed to grow and mature with their peers.
Right.
So you consider that, you know what I'm saying, as sexual assault, manipulation, you know what I'm
I
saying?
would I would say that's very inappropriate, and I would say that the person again just did not think about how like the impact it would have on that person. Now, it also makes me think about like what was going on in the household of the teenager that
Hmm.
was being picked up by the guy or the girl. Um,
Hmm.
how like what was the relationship with the parents for him or her not to be able to talk to the parent and say, "Hey, I'm dating this guy or I'm talking to this guy," because at 15, I knew when I was doing stuff at 15, I knew if I was to date someone that's 22, my parents wouldn't like it. Or they would say, he is too old for you. So I'm just
Hmm.
thinking about like that part, like where was that going on? Which makes me think again
Hmm.
that 22 or 21-year-old probably knew that this female or whomever didn't have that connection with the parent because they will probably say, come on, let's hang out, let's do whatever. Like, you don't have to do whatever, and just trying to make that person feel much older than they needed to be. So again, is it pedophilia? Um, sure, it's definitely not appropriate. Because a 15-year-old doesn't know anything.
Hmm.
They barely
And
learn how to take a shower. 15-year-olds still have bad hygiene. It's just
right.
like, oh,
Now, do you think
brush
that
their teeth.
they should raise the age limit of consensual sex in the United States? Because depending on the state that you're in, the age level of consensual sex can be anywhere between 12 and 13 up until 15, 16, 17 years old.
Yep,
Do you think that they should be able to they should raise that to a specific number closer to 18?
absolutely. I think it should be 21. I mean, because honestly, our brains don't fully develop until we're 25 anyway.
Yeah, 24, 25. Yeah.
So 21 is still young, but
Hmm.
I feel like it's closer and it's definitely better than 16.
Hmm.
Because I just think about like when I was 16, I was in choir, I was in track, I was doing all these things. Like I was not thinking about sex. Um, no, and I'm still, I just left Barbies. Like I stopped playing with Barbies at 14.
Hmm.
So no, 21 I think will be a more appropriate age. I really do. Because at 21, then what? You can drink alcohol. Now I know some other countries you can drink it before then, but that's usually the legal age of alcohol. So if they could raise it to 21, that would be great.
Right. Because reason why I'm asking, because like I said, there's certain states that are consensual in 13, and they will say long as they're a year or two apart, then it's consensual.
Hmm.
And that's when these young guys and girls are starting to get these STDs, or they
Hmm.
get these diseases that they're not they can't be cured from, like herpes and all these other different things, and their whole life
Yeah.
at that point is cut off. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You won't be able to have children and things of that nature and experience certain experiences in life. And I feel like with that, an individual who takes advantage of these individuals who can't make decisions or rational decisions and putting them in a situation where they're forcing them to be mature than what they actually are is doing the children or those individuals a disservice.
I definitely agree with that. I do. Because 12 and 13, that's too young to be doing anything. Like most 12, well, nowadays, most 12 and 13-year-olds are like doing video games and things like that. But when I was growing up, I think we're all probably around the same age. When we were growing up, like we were doing breakdancing and slumber parties and things like that. Like we like sock hops and all that. You know, it wasn't. We weren't thinking about that.
I
We
can't
just
say
weren't. And so it's just it's just totally different now.
I can't agree with that part. I'm gonna just put it like this. In certain situations, you got to look at number one, it's what's in the household first, because charity
Correct.
starts at
That's
home.
true.
And
That's
then
true.
when you got to look at it, most young girls develop or have their first menstruation during that time period between 12
That's
and
true.
13. And now you have something that's even getting it at 10 years old.
Yeah.
So their bodies are being super developed if within an earlier stage. And
Mhm.
then it is the sole responsibility of the parent or parents to really let their child know about what's going on with their body changing as going into their adolescent. And
I
we have a
agree.
lack of that. I think we have a lack of that. And I think we've had misinformation being passed on. So, and I think that then when they give these sex education classes at
Mhm.
junior high school to high school, they don't teach it in the elementary, but yet
They
children in the
need to.
elementary are having menstruals and
Yeah.
young boys are fondling with themselves having wet dreams.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's important, again, it's important for the parent to acknowledge these factors of their children immediately.
Mhm.
Because if you don't talk to your child about these things, they're going to find it elsewhere. They're going to get it from the street. They're going to get it from another person or peer. And it may not be the right information. It could be,
I agree.
depending upon it is, but
Mhm.
it's the parents' ultimate responsibility to take care of their children until time of them to fly out the coop. So again, the charity starts at home, but when you live in an environment where, like, and you know, I'm a product of the environment. Sexualism was very active in my household because I had older brothers, and
Yeah.
listen, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
don't do as I say, do as I do. You know what I mean? And
Mhm. Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
ain't gonna spill out nobody's secrets, but
Yeah.
I learned at a very early age about women fast. I'll say it was wrong, but it was right. It was
Yeah.
right, but it was wrong. You
Yeah.
know, and
I get
my
that.
father didn't give me the birds and the bees speech, the birds and the bees. He had that with my older brother because they were older than I was. So what I got handed down was a short form version. You know what I mean? So the things that I was doing at an early age,
Mhm.
I should have never been doing until I was 16, 17, or 18. You know,
Yeah.
but you can't, sometimes we're in a predicament where we can't help that or stop that.
Mhm.
So again, you know, what do we do in that manner of as long as we get it at the childhood state from the parents being right, you know, some things can happen in good ways. But like I said, it's the luck of the draw on the environment we're
Yeah.
growing up in the situation we deal
Ms. Myers,
Yeah.
I have to say we have to bring you back. We have to
Okay.
have a part two to this because
with.
we're like close to the end and it's like just we're at the
Yeah, I
cliffhanger, right?
agree. Like I agree because yeah, because the topic needs to be discussed. But
Right.
then I think about like I want people to understand like from where I came from to where I am now within my
Right.
marriage, like how things can actually turn out to be a beautiful thing because
Mm-hmm.
I went from not wanting to be touched, not trusting men and this and that and all of that craziness to having a wonderful husband that absolutely loves me, that took me time to even allow him to love me. So all of that too. So, but yeah,
That's
I
right. Because
agree.
part two, we're going to understand how she has got a great husband,
Yes.
beautiful children, beautiful, smart children,
Yeah.
entrepreneur children, and also too hit her up for H&L pickles. Those pickles are infused.
Pickles, peaches, the whole 9 yards.
The
Y'all.
whole
I'm telling you.
9 yards.
I can
So
speak.
get in touch
I can speak for a fact.
with H&L pickles, and you get those pickles and you support those babies. Because trust me, you have one, you're gonna want more.
Well, that's
All right?
good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed them too.
Nope.
Please, sir, don't do that. I'm glad you enjoyed them. But yeah,
Hey.
anytime you want me to come back, you let me know.
Hey,
Ms. Myers, you know what? And Josh Jamel, I think this would be a good thing too.
Right.
If we were able to add on, like say your husband to say for his personal say how he helped the situation with you and how he feels at from that perspective, because we always, we talk to the person, but it's sometimes the other half can really fill in the gaps where we be like, yo, because sometimes my wife will say such, or my husband say such, but they're not there. We would like to hear that side, and then you know what? Everything
that's a journey with you and him both. That's a journey with you and him both.
And
so we would love to have him on, and we would love to thank him as well for being the supportive individual that he is for you and for your children. And we wanted to thank him, as well, for allowing us to have the opportunity to speak with you and speak with your daughters about their businesses and also to the things that you do.
Absolutely. So let me say this. You need to let me know when, because my husband is total opposite from me. He is extremely quiet. He is somewhat shy.
Those are the ones that need real therapy.
And he does not talk like me. So he has to warm up. But once he sees me, then he'll start. Oh, let me. So just let me know, and I can let him know when to come on.
Well, we want to make sure that you get a copy of the video. Let you sit down and you watch it with him.
Okay.
So that can at least help him ease into the situation, whether he wants to come on or he don't want to come on or have you. But we would love to have him with you. And again, ladies and gentlemen, order your H&L pickles from Ms. Lynn Meyers and her beautiful daughters. Do not entertain and get in touch with H&L pickles and get these pickles. I'm telling you, you're missing out if you don't get them.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'll let them know for sure.
Hey, Kay, you know what time it is, big bro.
Absolutely, yes, indeed. Once again, thank you, Ms. Myers. We salute you for coming on and giving us your side. And again, we look forward to having you back. As you already know, this is your home as well. You have a platform here for anything that you have coming up. If you want to let it be known and bring on, we'll be more glad to have you and your guests, whatever. Because this is about community. This is about family. This is what we do. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself and my co-host, Josh Jamel, Mr. PhD, we thank each and every one of you for tuning in. We thank everybody that's on the panels that's saying hello and giving their questions and everything. We thank each and every one of you for making Real to Real 360 possible to bring you the real, because it's most important to give you the truth the way it should be, and this is very important for every Black man, woman, and child, because we're reaching out to you to let you know that we're here for you as well. If you have a story to share, if you want to get your story out, come holler at us. You can reach us at Real2reel360 at gmail.com. That's REAL, the number 2, REEL 360 at gmail.com. Or you can call in and give your comments at 336-807-9299. Once again, the number is 336-807-9299, because we look forward to hearing from you and your story. Okay, nothing is too small. Okay, no, there's no embarrassments here. We're not here for that. We're here to uplift. We're up to heal. We're up to give the love back, because that's what we're about. So thank you once again, Ms. Myers. You are a jewel, a queen in the right.
Not Myers. It's Myers.
Miss Myers, Mrs. Myers. Yes. We love you. We thank you again. We make sure I'll send you a copy of the broadcast as well and everything. And Ja, who do we have coming up in the near future before we go?
We have us coming up in the near future. Y'all stick by. Y'all got to like and subscribe to know exactly who's coming up. But next week is going to be epic. So like and subscribe on that YouTube and check out Real to Real Group for the flyers and everything else. You know, we give you the resources that you need. All you have to do is like and subscribe, and we'll make sure that you get everything else. All right. Thanks again, Ms. Myers, and kiss those babies for us. Let them know that we support them 100%.
They are the jewels.
Thank you so much.
All right. Y'all take care.
All right. Peace.
Peace. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to the Real to Real 360. I am DJ K Wise, and my best half, my brother in God, Joshua Allah. We say peace to Allah's 5% nation, to all the gods and earths, and all the human families on the planet Earth. And we are out this night.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we starting to come to the end of the show. Right now, I want to take time out and thank our guests for coming on. Also, too, we want to make sure that y'all listening and subscribing, and tell a friend, and keep sharing, because we're going to keep bringing y'all the real content. You know what I mean? So, DJ KY, brother, take us up out of here, son. Peace.
I want to give a big shout out to the nation of gods and earth, to all the human families on the planet Earth. I say peace. But you are subscribed to those who continue to watch and listen to the show each and every time we come on. I give a big shout out of love, peace, and happiness. The beat, the man, woman, the child of the you and I first. It's time for us to disperse. We bring the best, not the worst. We thank you once again for tuning in to the Real 360. Bring a friend to hit that like and subscribe, so we continue to grow, to bring more knowledge and wisdom to you upon our show. You make it possible for us to do what we do. Now it's